always like to go through exercise safety guidelines. If you're a regular and you've heard this 100 times, you can start to get set up, get your water. But if you're new, please take a listen. So we just ask that everyone's received clearance from their physician or therapist prior to starting any exercise program, and do not participate if that has not been received. Please do not participate if since the last time we've had contact with us, you've had any unusual symptoms, an unplanned doctor or hospital visit, or any ankle or leg swelling, a greater than 4-pound weight increase in 2 days, or 5 pounds in 1 week. This is a virtual class. I know you can see us on camera, but we can't physically assist you. So if you develop symptoms, you're gonna stop exercising. If they worsen, seek medical attention. And in the event of any emergency, you're gonna call 911. Remember, you are in control of your own workout. Lara is small but mighty. Don't let her push you around. She'll give you lots of different options, so stick with the one that's in your comfort level. Yeah, so over to Lara. I'm going to stop sharing.
Good morning, everybody. Let's get right into our warm-up. Again, warm-ups, as always, we're working at our own pace. You can follow along with my movements or do your own thing. Your warm-up should feel like an RPE of 10 or 11. If you start to feel like it's inching into that 13, 14 range and you've started a workout that's a little too quick, so maybe slow yourself down. The warm-up is not meant to be the workout, okay? So if you prefer to be seated for some of these movements, you're more than welcome to remain that way, but having a chair is a good option for us today, as a lot of the different themes that I tend to have when we do these workouts. So we'll talk about it in a moment. Let's tap out in front here if you're following along. Nice to see our familiar faces, and names, I guess, as well. Icons. All right. I finally got my jersey back. My daughter's been insisting on wearing it. So I finally retrieved it again. So I got my jersey back to wear. Oh, and that's really only because of Halloween. She gets to wear Halloween things. So it's the only reason why I got it back. All right, let's march out wide a little bit here. So I'm not doing a baseball theme. I didn't have the creative mindset this morning to figure out a baseball theme. So we're not doing that. But I do have a theme in that we're going to do some unilateral around the world today. So we'll see I'll show you what that looks like shortly. Okay. Let's kind of move side to side here. So if balance is an issue, you could be holding on, or we could even just do little taps to the side. I just want some warmth in the hips. You know me, I love some hip work. You're never going to get through a workout without something specifically hip focused, and today is no different, okay? You could actually amp this up a bit if you feel like you need more from your warm up and move side to side. Again, do what works for you. So essentially what it means when we're doing a unilateral around the world, it means we're going to work from the bottom up and then back down again. Single-sided movements. I've talked about this before. I like to do unilateral work sometimes, so that way we can kind of see our imbalances in our muscles. So let's do that today. If you would like to add the hamstring curl right now, you can do that. I'm getting those hamstrings where I do have a hamstring exercise planned as part of our workout today. So let's get them warmed up a bit. So we're just going to bend at that knee there and get the hamstrings a little bit more fired up. This one here does require balance. So feel like you need to hold on, always do that. Arms are optional. And then as always, we want to get the front part of our hips too, because we got to get everything, especially with our lower body here all warmed up. A little twist will help a little bit too if you'd like to add that. It can be faster. You could even do an elbow if you're ready for it. That's an upgrade. All of these movements also can be done in a chair. All right. All right, so let's get to, I'm starting with my right side. I would recommend you do that because my cues will be with that in mind. So that means the working side is the right side, but do what you will. So holding on, if you need to, be close to your chair. So starting off with our right foot, we are going to try a single leg heel raise. You can add weights to this if you'd like, but if you would like to try it, just lifting up your other foot, your left foot, you can have it sort of behind you if you'd like. You can even just touch it slightly to the ground if you're not ready for a full, one one-legged movement. You can sort of kickstand, which means you're not putting much weight on the left foot, but it's not actually doing the pushing of your, doing the work, okay? Any which way, you can try all of those options. And then if you're like, this is easy, you could also be holding a weight. So we can progress this in many different ways. All right. So a little bit tougher when we're doing when we're using one of our legs to push our whole body up. So you may not want the weight, but a couple more here. Feel free to speed up these last couple ones if you're ready for it. I'm holding on because I don't want to fall over. So don't be afraid. My plan is to sort of work up this way. So that means we're going to work up the body a little bit. And the next thing we're going to do is actually our hamstrings. We're going to jump right into that. I'm going to grab weights for this. You're more than welcome to. So this one here, we've done it before, but we don't do it often. So it takes a bit of practice. So let's practice this today. Since we're doing our right side, the way it's going to look is we're going to have our right foot slightly in front of our left. Okay, so we're going to have a stance like this, where we're going to have our right foot slightly in front, but we feel confident, okay? Weights in front of us, really close to our thighs. Your hands are almost touching them, okay? They can be touching your thighs with your weights. The first thing we do is we stick our hips out, so we stick our bottom out, popped out, and then we let those weights slide slightly down, maybe below the knees if you can get there, but that's okay. And then we push back up, okay? We're going to try that. The other foot is just there for kind of some balance. Okay, but you do need a little bit of that bend in the front knee. The way it should feel when you get down with the weight, you should feel stretch and the hamstring, which is the muscle in the back of your leg, near the kind of between your knee and your bottom. That's the muscle of the back. You want to feel a stretch and then pop back up, okay? You see, my back stays straight, so I'm not rounding my back. This isn't about touching your toes or getting far down your leg. It's about that stretch on the hamstring, loading the hamstring, and coming back up. We're going to only do a couple more here, and then we're going to move on to the next exercise. Excellent. Doing great. It's a great one to practice, to get better at. One more. Excellent. All right, you can put your weights down for a sec here on your chair. We're going to do our hip car, which should probably be on the other side of the chair, because our working leg is the right leg, okay? We've done this many times. This is our main hip focus for today. We are going to go up, around, and over our imaginary object here. You can decide what that object is, okay? I would say a baseball bat, but that might be a little high. I don't know. Whatever you want to imagine. We're bringing our knee up, around. We're trying to make a circle with our hips as best we can, okay? Don't worry too much about, how big your range is to start. This is something that takes practice and work, but we want to keep the rest of our body still so we're not turning our whole body with the movement. We're trying to isolate the movement here. We are going to switch directions soon, depending on which way you started. I started out front and around. Now I'm going to go back and around. So whichever way you started, it doesn't matter, just switch. We're still thinking about bringing our knee and our leg over our imaginary object, a hurdle of some kind, maybe a child-sized bat, who knows? Whatever helps you think about it. It doesn't have to be really high. Something to work on. All right. So we are going to move up the body here. We did some calves, we did our hamstrings, we're doing some hip work. We are going to do some kind of core work now. So grabbing your weights, because we are doing unilateral work, you can choose to grab 1 or 2 weights here, depending on what you have available. We are going to do kind of a wood chop to the right, okay? So all I want you to do is hold your weights however you'd like. We're going to start sort of in front of our body a little bit, and we're going to bring the weight kind of down and up into our right side. It doesn't have to be too complicated, right down into our right side. So our twist is sort of towards the right. Keep everything else stationary, so your hips are going to face forward. So I'm not twisting with it, okay? I'm just bringing it down. And this is going to warm our arms up for all the arm work we're going to do too. All right? So kind of like a wood chop, except slow. We wouldn't be very effective by this slow chopping wood. And also too close to the body, dangerous. Don't ever bring an axe that close to your hip. Not a good plan. You can tell I've never actually chopped wood, but These exercises have funny names sometimes. Excellent. So we're just bringing that twist towards the right. Next thing we're going to do is going to be for our biceps. So we're about to do that one more. Another reason why I wanted to do this unilateral today, oftentimes we don't have heavy enough weights in our home because having heavy enough weights is tough. So this time we can actually double up our weights for some of the work. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. If you do not have a heavier weight, I encourage you to crisscross your smaller weights into your right hand. Crisscross allows you to hold on to them a little bit better. And now we're going to start with our bicep curl, okay? Bicep curl, keeping the elbow in by your rib cage. All right, keep everything kind of nice and tight and working, whether you're sitting or standing, the movement's the same, but try to keep that elbow in by the rib cage, controlling up and controlling down. All right, as we move our way up, we are going to next do some tricep work, which is kind of at the same level currently. For that next exercise, you may not want to use the two weights because that's a little bit tougher, but you can decide in terms of how you want to hold on, what weights you're going to do. Let's do 2 more on the biceps, and then we're going to switch to our right side tricep exercise. So I'm going to put one down. For this here, you're going to get into whatever that normal comfortable stance is. You can use a chair, you can use your own body to support your back, whatever you have available to you. We're going to start by growing our hand up and getting into our starting position. This is our starting position, elbow up, weight by our hip. And then the movement would be out straight and then back. So we don't bring our hand back down during this one, okay? So straight out, you feel the back of the upper arm squeeze. And then forward. So back to your starting position, which is your hip and control. Well done. You're doing great. Couple more here. Trying my best not to stare at you on the camera because then I turn my whole body and I break my own rules here. Do it all the time. Let's do one more. Excellent. All right, so next up, we still have the weight in our right hand in our hammer grip, and we're going straight front raise, but across the body. So starting position is down by our thigh on the outer thigh, straight arm. Our finished position is outside of our left shoulder across our body, no higher than shoulder height. So here we're going to get some shoulder work as well as a bit of chest with that crossing of the body. We're actually going to do 2 types of versions of this. Okay, so we're going to kind of combine our chest and shoulders with our exercises today, but I'm going to give you a mini break in between to work on our back. We are still working our right side on its own. You may notice when you do this, though, and we go around doing the other exercises, that there might be one side stronger than the other in some areas. It's a good thing to make note of. Okay, one more. Excellent. So our little break for our kind of shoulder, chest is going to be our fly. I love this one on its own as a unilateral exercise. Let's get going and I'll tell you why. I want you back into that strong position again. So I'm going to do this forward for you, but it's the same where we feel comfortable. We have support if we need it, but our core is engaged. And we are bringing our arm out behind us here, almost like we're flying away, but we only have one wing, okay? And then we are squeezing in and around the shoulder blades. We want this to be controlled. Okay, we don't want to flail our arm out and let it fall down. We want to control. I like this, and you may or may not notice this as you're doing it. You really, when we do this with one arm, you really have to stabilize your core so your whole body doesn't go everywhere. So we get a lot of core stability work. Functional core stability work when we do this exercise. This is one of the reasons why I like this one. Sometimes doing it unilaterally, which is one side. That's what that means, unilaterally. Let's do 2 more like this. And then we're going to do another version for that shoulder chest complex. Same kind of concept of direction, but our hand position is now different. We are opening our palm. We're still got good posture. We're opening our palm, still a straight arm. We're still coming across. Okay, we're still doing shoulder height, but across the body, but with the open palm. Just a little bit of a different angle on the chest muscles, but shoulder obviously working as well. Well done. Couple like this, okay? And then we're going to continue our around the world. So I've done unilateral things before, but when we do it around the world, we do it in opposite on our way back. Not that there's a specific reason why you have to do that, more than it's just interesting and a fun way to do things differently. It's not something we have to do, but I like it this way. It's kind of fun. 2 more. Perfect. So because this is around the world, we are switching to our left side now. All right, switch the weight over, but we're going in reverse order. So we're back to the exact same exercise we just did. Open palm, straight hand across, okay? We're going to work our way down the pyramid. Excellent. Nice control. Same thing. Anytime we move weight away from our body, you probably feel your core engaging here. So we're getting some bonus core work built into our other movements. This is when we start to try to see if you notice if there's one side that might be stronger than the other or has different limitations, things to make note of. 2 more like this. Well done. All right, so that next exercise you remember is the fly. So getting back into that solid position, good core engagement. You're tipped at the hip, but your back is you're not slumping, and we are doing that side kind of lift with that angle, squeezing the shoulder blade. So whether you're sitting or standing, you want to make sure your gaze is sort of neutral. I know I look up, and again, I break my own rules when I look up at you on the camera, but ideally your eyes should be sort of kind of a little bit ahead of you and down, so that way you're not hurting your neck, okay? So I know once you get it, to stop looking at the screen. I think that helps too, right? Once you know what the exercise is, we'll do a couple more like this. Keeping that anti-rotation, that's what we're doing too for our core, anti-rotation right now, which is really good for core stability. All right, standing back up again or sitting up. And we're going to do the same sort of movement, but with the hammer grip. So we're holding onto the weight in our left hand. We're coming shoulder height, but across. All right, so we're going to get shoulder as well as some chest, but in a little bit different way on our left side now. Doing awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Do a couple more here. You're doing great. You look, those that I can see, you look good. All right, let's do 2 more like this, and then we're going to move back to our triceps. Amazing. So back for our triceps, if we remember our starting position, that same stance or sitting down, it's very similar. When we have that control of our core, so our back is not slumped or arched, and we get into starting position. So this is your starting position, your weight at your hip, elbow up and back, and then we straighten. All right. Always trying to come back to that starting position. Really feel that squeeze if you can at that straighten point. It can be a bit awkward, I know that, so just do your best. I almost have to visualize pushing my arm out and up. I know that sounds weird, but when you get it, it makes sense. To feel like I'm really getting the tricep going, I feel like I'm trying to make my arm longer as I straighten it out, if that even makes sense to you, but it makes sense in my head. Excellent. A couple more here. All right. Excellent. This is when, again, if you'd like to grab your second weight, I would encourage you to do this for the biceps. Biceps are generally strong, and we often don't have worked them hard enough. So if you want to double up those weights for the biceps, please do. Roll shoulder back, get into that good posture. Left-sided now. Control up and down. We're probably going to have time for some bonus exercises because I wanted to make sure I had time for the whole world, but we might have time for some more. So I'll probably add some afterwards. So once we go all the way around the world, which will be done soon. We'll see. A couple more like this. And then we're to that left-sided sort of wood shop-ish sort of twisting core exercise. Whatever you want to call it. Let's do 2 more. Excellent. Okay. I'm going to put one of the weights down just to easier for me to hold it. But if you had a heavier one, you could actually continue to use it for this. I just find it awkward to hold to for this. So we're starting off in this kind of holding of the weight across the body. So how we finish those chest shoulder ones, but then we're kind of coming around with a little bit of a twist. But we're keeping everything steady. The only thing that's really moving and twisting is above. It's above the waist area. Your hips stay facing forward, and we're working on control. If your shoulders are tired because of the work we did before, you can bring the weight closer to you. It's just that twist I want you to keep going with, okay? Well done. A couple more like this. Controlled. One more. Perfect. Okay, we're going to go back to that hip exercise on our left side. If you would like the balance support, just make sure you're in the right parts to hold on. Because now our active leg is our left leg, hopefully. And we have an imaginary object and we're trying very hard to get our knee and our hip and everything up and over that object. So goal of making that circle as big as you can while keeping everything else in place, because that's what's going to help isolate the muscles we want to be strengthening. But this is sort of a strength with movement, mobility type exercise. So over time, what you want to be able to do is be able to make your circle kind of bigger, but maintaining that control. Really great for hip mobility. Okay, we're going to do a couple more forward, but then we're going to switch the other direction, whichever that might be for you. So for me, that means I'm going back and around. Okay, so now I'm going forward, but as long as you switch the direction from where you're previous, that's fine. You're still trying your very best to get that big circle up and over. All right, 2 more exercises and we will have officially went all the way around the world, and we can add some bonuses. Yay. I like a good bonus exercise. I'm still going to do unilateral-ish, sort of, just because that's the theme. But we're not going to go all the way around the world again. We won't have time. Okay, so we're going to go back to that kickstand deadlift one, the one that's a little bit strange to get used to, but we're going to practice it so we get better at it. Now, since this is our left side that we're working, our left foot's going to be a little bit in front of us. All right, our other leg is really just there for balance. So it can be on your toes, it can be flat. It depends on what your stability comfort level is. Your front knee is going to be a little bit bent. Weights are almost touching your body. They're very, very close to you. So that when we stick our bottom out, tip at our hip, and allow those weights to come down, they stay close to our body. We protect our back. We feel a stretch in this hamstring here. We feel that stretch. That's when we come back up, okay? Those are the things you want to think about. Stick out, tip at the hip, keep your core engaged, everything close, and back up. Well done. Do this nice and slow, it's okay. We know we feel everything properly. Excellent. A couple more here. And one more. Perfect. So we'll finish up with the around the world aspect with our heel raise, single legged. If you feel comfortable with that, you're welcome to keep that other foot again, sort of just touching their kickstand for balance, holding onto a chair, or you can even just sort of lift it and have it sort of touching your other leg. Whatever helps you, whatever works best. We're just trying our very best to put the emphasis on one side. It doesn't have to be exact. We're just doing the best we can. Excellent. A couple more here. If you'd like to speed up these last couple ones, you can speed them up. That could be a lot, so make sure you have your balance item nearby. Whoa, we've officially traveled around the world in like 20 minutes. Wow. All right, so this next sort of bonus exercise, again, can be a bit challenging, but it's really valuable. So there's different ways that we can make this easier or harder. You do not need to use weights at first. You can choose to, but I'm going to hold on to them so you can see what it looks like. So we are going to go one side and then to the next side. So it's kind of going to be alternating, but it is still done single-sided. You'll see what I mean when I do it. So this is going to be like side squat, or there's a couple of different ways to look at this, or a side lunge. It doesn't have to be big. So I'm going to start off going to my right side. So I'm just going to basically take a step to my right side. That's how we start, right? And then we stick our bottom out and do a mini squat. Okay, step to your side. We'll go right side first, and then you just come back up to standing. Now, depending on your experience and confidence, it will depend on how big your step is and how low you go down. If it's just small to start, it is small to start. That is a great way to start. But we want to think about a couple things. All right, so the weights are just a bonus. What we want to think about is bottom out, chest up. If you can focus on those two things when you start with this, that's a great starting point. And then you can worry about making it more challenging in the future. All right, so step to the side, chest up, foot flat on the ground, bottom back. All right, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. After this one. So when you get to this one here, instead of standing up the other way, bring your other leg to you. So now we're ready to go the other direction. And then we step out, we think about the distance. You can start off with a smaller distance and with a smaller kind of squat, and then decide what's going to work for you next time, okay? Keep chest up, feet flat on the ground. All right, bottom back. All right, so now we don't put that extra pressure on the knees. Really also good for some of the muscles in there on the hip and the glute. Well done. Weights can be like this, or if you're using them kind of surrounding your knee or into the center, or not at all for this one because it's kind of complicated, okay? Let's do two more like this, and then we'll do a kind of, not even really, kind of a couple breaths and stretches while we get to the transition for Nikki to do her talk. Excellent. Well done. Well done.